She signed her poems 4,300 years ago. Not a king, not a god, a woman pressing her name into wet clay. Long before Homer sang of Troy, long before any name you were taught to remember, long before the pyramids rose against the Egyptian sun, long before the first laws were carved into stones of justice, her words survived empires, floods, and forgetting. And yet almost no one knows who she was. To understand her, you must understand her world. This is Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Here, around 2300 BCE, humanity had already invented something miraculous, writing. But for centuries, those clay tablets were silent in one strange way. They recorded grain, taxes, and laws. Yet not a single one carried the name of the person who wrote it. Writing existed, but the author did not. Words floated free, belonging to no one, like rain with no cloud. And then, in the city of Ur, that silence broke. One person finally stepped forward and said, "These words are mine." Her name was Enheduanna, and she was born into the most powerful family the world had ever seen. Her father was Sargon of Akkad, a man who rose from nothing to forge the first empire in human history. Sargon conquered city after city, binding Sumer and Akkad under one crown. But conquest is fragile. The people of the south did not love their northern king. So Sargon made a brilliant move. He sent his own daughter south to the holiest city of all Ur. There, he gave her a sacred title, High Priestess of the moon god Nanna. She would be the bridge between two peoples, two gods, two worlds. She was perhaps still a teenager, and she was about to become the most powerful woman in Mesopotamia. Picture the great ziggurat of Ur rising against the desert sky, a mountain of mud brick crowned by the Temple of the Moon. At its summit stood Enheduanna. She led the rituals, managed vast temple estates, and watched the heavens for the will of the gods. She was a priestess, an administrator, and an astronomer. Some believe she was among the first to track the movement of the stars and the cycles of the moon. But she did something far more daring than read the sky. Alone in her chamber, by torchlight, she began to write. Not records, not receipts, poetry raw, personal, and burning with her own voice. And at the end of her work, she carved 3 words no one had carved before. I, Enheduanna. Think about how revolutionary that was. For the first time in recorded history, a human being claimed their own words. Her greatest work is called the Exaltation of Inanna, a passionate, intimate hymn to the goddess of love and war. In it, she does not hide behind ritual. She writes of her own fears, her own faith, her own suffering. She speaks directly to the goddess, almost as an equal. You are known by your heaven-high deeds, she wrote, words still readable today. This was not propaganda for a king. This was a soul, speaking across 43 centuries, asking to be heard. With those poems, Enheduanna invented something we now take for granted, the idea that words can belong to a person, that behind every text there is an I. But power in Mesopotamia was never safe. When Sargon died, the empire trembled and rebellion spread through the cities. A usurper named Lugal-Ane rose against the throne, and he turned his eyes toward the powerful priestess of Ur. He drove Enheduanna from her temple. Stripped of her title, she was cast out into exile, wandering and afraid. She had lost everything: her home, her god, her sacred role. but she still had the one weapon no rebel could take from her: her words. In exile, she wrote her most desperate poem yet, a cry to the goddess Inanna for justice and return. Inanna. "My honeyed mouth became scum," she wrote. It is perhaps the first time in history we hear a writer describe their own pain in the first person. And the goddess, or fate, answered. The rebellion fell, order returned, and Enheduanna was restored to her temple in Ur. She had quite literally written her way back from exile. Her poems were not just art. They were power, prayer, and survival. For the rest of her life, her hymns were copied and recopied. For over 500 years after her death, scribes still studied her words. She became a legend in her own civilization. And then, slowly, the sand took her. Empires rose and fell above her buried city. Her tablets sank into silence, and the name Enheduanna was forgotten for thousands of years. Until 1927, in the ruins of Ur, the archaeologist Leonard Woolley unearthed a small broken disc of alabaster. On it was carved the image of a priestess overseeing a ritual, and on the back, a name: Enheduanna. After more than 4,000 years, she stepped back into the light. The first author in human history finally had a face again. Today, her words are translated, studied, and read around the world. The woman who said, "I wrote this," can no longer be silenced. Every poet, every novelist, every name on every cover, they all echo her. Enheduanna, the first voice brave enough to say, "I am the author." After 4,000 years of silence, we can still read exactly what she wrote. These are her words translated, but truly hers. On the goddess she served, she wrote, "You are known by your heaven-high deeds. Let it be known." In her darkest exile, she confessed her pain. "My honeyed mouth became full of scum," and with breathtaking pride, she wrote the words that changed everything. Something has been created that no one has created before. She wrote her way into eternity. But her story begins with another, her father, Sargon, a conqueror, whose own legend starts with a baby, a basket, and a river. Subscribe, because the next echo is already drifting toward us.